Welcome back, Swifties. I'm your humble and gracious host, Stilo. I Hate Taylor Swift Part 2. Now, I already did this, unfortunately, and it glitched out, which is really unfortunate because I had a lot of great things to say, but I've already seen it, so it's like I'm watching it with you because you've seen this too, so we're going to be watching it together. But I'll try to remember some of the things that I said because, I was speaking to her character and just her will to stay positive and stay kind-hearted and respectful in an industry that really wants to make her to look like the bad person. They're trying to spin a narrative about Taylor that just doesn't really exist, but she's so smart, she plays into the narrative. So her being creative, and obviously what they're saying about her isn't truthful, she's able to be very playful with it, but that doesn't mean that some of the stuff that they say doesn't hurt her. So that's pretty much what I learned from it. But if I have anything new to say, I'll add to that. By the way, updates. Miss Americana is on my Patreon, patreon.com/Stilovino. And 1989 Deluxe will be up there sometime this week. I don't know, but, whenever this goes up, probably a couple days after. All right, let's get right into it.
Honestly, if you have to pick one priority, that's the fans.
But in a business sense, it also just makes sense.
I found that kind of a general rule is that if you do the right thing, a lot of times that pans out in a business sense. If you start out trying to do things in a business sense, a lot of times it falls flat on its face. But I feel like if you start out with the right intentions and you want to do the right thing, that usually works out.
Spoke to Bill Werde, editorial.
I agree, especially in a creative type of field, to where authenticity, Jesus Christ, is valued. So if you're trying to sell people something, they can always tell when you're not being real. Feels like they're being lied to. So if you go into it with having people's best interests at heart and genuinely just want to connect with people, you'll be all right.
Director of Billboard.
Maybe if she looked different, like let's say she wasn't young and cute, I think people would be talking about her as a great songwriter.
So you think that the persona and the fan base and all that almost diminishes?
Yeah, I definitely think it does. I think
in a way.
It's hard for critics to look at an arena full of screaming 12-year-old girls and say, this is really credible songwriting.
But you say it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely credible songwriting for these points, exactly. It's really hard to make something appeal. Take a song. It's very hard to make something appeal to grown-ups, like, people of age 22, and above. And then the younger adult. You shouldn't dock her for her being able to appeal to 12-year-olds, because that's genius songwriting in a nutshell, to be able to appeal to so many different people, so many demographics, and so many different ages and ethnicities. If you think about some of your genius TV shows, right, when we were kids, how many of those TV shows did you go back to when you were older and you were like, wow, and you caught something differently? That's just the same how I feel about Taylor's writing. It's just genius writing that we can catch. And her idea of making songs and her method, from what I've learned, is that I'm going to go with a rhythm. I'm going to go with a great melody because I want you to dance to something. But I want you to dance and I want you to think about it and I want you to feel. So, like I said, if they don't have a story, they'll try to pick one. I feel like they're trying to pick a story with Taylor, and it just isn't working because her staying power, nobody writes those many hits accidentally. It just doesn't happen. So,
Like a major corporation.
Taylor Swift is a major corporation.
in fact, she's a brand.
Who's at the helm? Look who we found running the management meeting.
It's like they messed with the color.
Unlike other stars of her caliber who sign up with management companies, Taylor created her own. As CEO, she manages herself.
It's fine because it's subtle.
Taylor's success is based on her close relationship with her fans. They're called Swifties. They see themselves in her.
The Swifties!
And she sees herself in them.
Your fans feel so personal about you. I mean, you're the only one I know who invites people back into your house. Do you still do that?
Yeah. I decided that I wanted to play this entire album for the fans long before it came out. I wanted it to be like this little secret society gatherings in living rooms, and so I decided to have them in my houses.
We had 89 fans waiting in the living room. I'm about to play them the entire 1989 record. Hey guys! Hey guys!
And that's an experience that they'll never forget. That's what you do it for. To make memorable experiences with people and touch as many people as you can in a positive way.
I want to come up with as many ways that we can spend time together and bond, because it keeps me normal. It keeps my life feeling manageable.
Is your life at all normal?
No.
Absolutely
no,
not.
Not at all. And that's why when I go online and I go on Instagram and I see, you know, a post from Emma who lives in Philadelphia and she's talking about how her day was at school that day, that helps me.
You still do that?
It's the only thing that keeps me not feeling overwhelmed by the abnormality of my life.
Have you got to a place?
There is no normalcy when you're a pop star. It's like not normal going outside and seeing the paparazzi flash, or, you know, as she speaks later, I feel like it's in this compilation where, you know, going into a grocery market and you see your face and you see tabloids and people having conversations with you as if you're not a real person, right? That's not normal. It's not normal, but she has such a grounded personality that she's able to plug in and plug out. Like, of course, she has to play ball in the sense that she has to coexist in both worlds. You got the real world, and then you've got, you know, the kind of world that's manufactured. It's the byproduct of the success, right? The real world is us connecting with the music. Like, that's very real, and a very intimate connection. That's the real part about it. But everything that lives online, as far as the many different opinions that wouldn't say this to Taylor's face if they got the chance, how overcritical they are of Taylor, that can't matter. So she has to find other ways to fill that balance up. Fill that balance up with real things and things that really matter, that's important to her, that makes her feel good. So a lot of people don't do that, and they spiral out of control. That's why you see some of your pop stars, or they have mental breakdowns, and they have, you know, setbacks that very few come back from. You know, it's a very brutal industry. They kind of sign you and then discard you, or they drop out because they can't take it anymore. So it is what it is.
Where you don't care what people say.
Sad, but it is what it is.
More so than ever before. I don't think anyone actually ever really gets to a place where they do not care what anyone thinks. I just have I've learned how to write off the opinions of people who don't matter to me.
I'm definitely going to get copyrighted for that part.
Can you do anything? You use the word normal, so I'll use it. Can you do anything like a normal person? Can you go out for a coffee? Can you go shopping? Or is everything an event with tons of paparazzi following you?
Anything outside my house or my apartment doesn't ever really feel normal. I try so hard to make it normal, because I don't engage. Like, if I'm being followed by a camera crew and all these paparazzi, they know that I don't want to have a conversation. And in New York, they're very respectful of that. Like, they just take their pictures and they say thank you and they leave. I don't want to make it into a press conference. My friends wouldn't want that either. But in my apartment, in my house, we can bake, we can make dinner, we can dance, we can do whatever we want. It's just that it's just a fact that when I'm outside the doors of my apartment, people are watching me, and that's the life that I chose.
And you're okay with it?
I mean, she has to. It comes with it. She's not okay with that. No, she doesn't like that part of the job. She got into the music because she loved the music, and she wanted to showcase her talent, and she wanted to connect with other people. That's what she got into it. The money came with it, and yes, the money is nice, but she uses money as a tool. Money doesn't define Taylor. She would have a completely different personality if it did. It's just something that can help her family and be able to live comfortably while she can do what she loves to do. But people invading her privacy constantly, spinning narratives about her, saying nasty things online. No, she doesn't like that. She's probably going to give you the politically correct answer and a sweet answer, but who would like that? You wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like it.
I have days where I am, days where I'm not. You know, like, I don't think anyone has a solid stance on any way that they feel. Like, it's like saying, are you happy every day? You know, I mean, it sometimes it feels absolutely stifling and overwhelming, to be honest with you. But
I bet.
most of the time I'm able to go through the mental exercise where I just say to myself, how many years did you want this?
Mm-hmm.
How many years did you dream about this? How many times did you say to yourself that if you ever got famous, you would walk up to people in restaurants and introduce yourself if they were trying to take a picture of you? Like, I always used to say when I was a little kid, like, if I ever got to do this, I would make the most of it. And I would
Seven-time
try to
Grammy
do
winner.
good things with it, and I wouldn't be all weird and affected by it. So it's not a normal life. I think it's only honest that I admit that to myself. But there are ways that I can still act normal amongst all of it.
This is my favorite part of the whole thing. Her speaking about her process and people believing that she can't write only because it's abnormal to see someone that's write as much as they do as a pop star as Taylor does is very abnormal. So a lot of people aren't accustomed to that. But also they haven't been educated or they're not privy to her process, like on Miss Americana, showing the inception of the idea from the voice note to her playing on the piano guitar and then taking it into the studio to get some sort of direction from her collaborators or producers. I mean, everybody's involved in the process, but as far as writing it goes, she doesn't really need much help with that. And I remember she said either in part 1 or maybe in Miss Americana, I don't remember, but she said that if I didn't write my own songs, I wouldn't be here. So it's very interesting. And don't none of y'all make fun of me for not being able to say authenticity earlier in the reaction. I don't want to hear none of that. Steve, you did it. It's authentic. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
Taylor Swift. She's such a great
she's ridiculous
songwriter,
talent.
right? And a great talent. But how were you able to...
She's a savant, I think. I mean, it goes beyond talent.
That's a great word, savant.
She sent me a voice memo. We did 2 songs. We did Welcome to New York, which was track 1, and then we did oh my God, no places. I'm forgetting the name of the other song. Something in the places. Something places. Her fans are gonna kill me for this. It's like track 10, I think it was. Anyway, she sent me voice memos, like in the morning, like here's me on a piano, here's how I'm hearing this, and then literally I'd walk in and I would have it mocked up kind of, and then we just would bang it out. I would help with the melodies a little bit, and kind of, with Taylor, you function more as an editor. She has a million ideas, and you're more like, this one, not that one, because she's so good. She kind of almost doesn't need you in the room, but for production, I think she is when she really relies on. So for Taylor, you're more producing than just writing stuff. She can write everything by herself.
I mean, Taylor is Taylor. I mean, she's the most amazing thing about it is she's so consistent in who she is. Her imaging may be changing depending on what the thematics of the art is that she's producing, but the person remains the same. There's a core person there that is really a fantastic human being, and also someone that I really connect with on a creative level. She has input on everything. There's no such thing as a director that goes in there and just does it. Doesn't work that way, you know. It's funny how people always accuse her, like the biggest insult anyone throws at her is that she's manipulative. What does that mean, you know? As an artist, because you know what your clothes you want to wear, you know what edits you want to make, you know what setups are, you know what the theme of every idea is, you know what your lyrics are. Like, is that manipulative or is that just being smart?
I'll break down the two as a consumer, right? As a consumer. Being manipulative and being spearheading or ahead of your creative control, it lies in the intent. So if your intent first and foremost is to make money above all, and it's influencing and directing your creative process, and you're being manipulative for personal gain, right? But if your intention is just to make a great vision to connect with people, and you're not sacrificing any integrity to make money. So if you're sacrificing, or you're painting a narrative, right? Say if you have a video, you have a song, and you're playing into a narrative or taking advantage of people's feelings capitalizing off people's feelings or capitalizing off of shock value as being manipulative. But I don't think Taylor is manipulative. I think she's very involved in her creative process. And that's something that we haven't really seen before, especially from a woman. They like to not give women creative control. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how many women artists really have as much creative control as Taylor? And I think she's afforded that because of how much success that she's had. And pretty much anything that's tied to Taylor's name comes with success. So you're going to give her the keys and let her do what she wants to do, honestly.
And why her of all the artists? How can you be a manipulative person and also be a construct of a record company at the same time? If anything, she's actually kind of been working outside of the mainstream pop world for the longest time. She's a country star and still has the mechanisms of Nashville. And you know, one of the things they always say is that she bought a record label or something. I don't really understand where all this is going, except it's just kind of an ad hominem attack on any particular thing, trying to find anything. Bottom line, great person, smart, an artist.
I like how he says first and foremost she's smart and a great person before the artist. That's dope. That's really dope.
So I wanted to start with a song that I wrote actually as kind of a response to, in the last couple of years, the media have had a really wonderful fixation on kind of painting me as like the psycho serial dater girl. It's been awesome.
It's been awesome.
I loved it. And they're like, you know, it got pretty out of control there for a couple of years, because it would be like every article was like, Taylor Swift standing near some guy. Watch out, guy.
Watch out, guy. That's hilarious. I might use that as my intro clip.
And, you know, every single article was kind of like, had these descriptions of my personality that were very different from the actual personality. And my first reaction was to be like, man, that's a bummer. This isn't fun for me. But then my second reaction ended up being like, hey, that's actually kind of a really interesting character they're writing about.
And that's the genius of it all, to be able to spin it in your favor. If they're gonna talk about me, let's give them something to talk about. Because I think she's very comfortable in knowing that that's not the truth and they don't really know me. So let's have fun. You're making your money. Let's both make some money. Let's both make something out of it. And I bet I come out with a more successful offering. Because, I mean, Taylor's so humble, she never comes out and says things like that. Like, I'm petty. I'm not going to lie. I'm very petty. I'm humble, but I'm not as humble as Taylor. Like, I feel like she's never petty. Maybe she is. Maybe you can tell me. Everybody has a little bit of petty, though. A little bit. But she's definitely more humble than she is petty. And I feel like if she talked her shit a little bit more, they would leave her alone. But maybe they would call her the B word. But who cares at this point? Who cares, bro? She's going in the Hall of Fame. Everything she touches goes multi-platinum. Who cares? Who cares at this point?
She jet sets around the world collecting men, and she can get any of them, but she's so clingy that they leave, and she cries, and then she gets another one in her web, and she traps them and locks them in her mansion, and then she's crying in her marble bathtub.
That's a dope video. I really like that video.
So I was like, I can use this. So the song Blank Space is a song that I wrote a little bit from sort of a comedic perspective. I try to stay pretty self-aware about, who I actually am, and also pretty aware of what the media's depiction of me is.
Very interesting. Some people conflate the two, and they confuse themselves and start believing the perception that the media has for them. So if you already know who you are before, it's like, that shit isn't true. That's the best position to be in, if you ask me.
And so I've seen all the different, rumors that have come and gone, and it's kind of developed over the years. It's developed into this reputation for being somewhat of a crazy serial dater, needy, clingy, manipulative person. And so I was thinking a lot about that. I was thinking about that reputation, and I just thought, what if I was that girl? What song would I write? So I wrote Blank Space. Like, if you want to play this way, we can play this way. I had a lot of people who would say, oh, she's an 18-year-old girl. There's no way that she actually carried her weight in those writing sessions.
I know that pissed her off.
And that was a really harsh criticism, I felt, because, You know, there was no way I could prove them wrong other than to write my entire next record solo. So that's what I did.
What's maybe one thing people don't know about her that you can kind of say with working with her so closely?
I think she's one of the most genuine people that I've ever worked with. You know, I actually have to, people always ask me, like, do I have to like the artist? Do I like the song? Do I have to like what, you know, I actually have to like all of it to do a video these days. And she's actually one of the nicest, sweetest, awesome, strong combination of everything. It's like kind of freakish how amazing she is.
In some ways, are you writing all the time?
Yes, all the time. I wrote a new one like 2 days ago.
Wow.
It doesn't matter like if I'm preparing for a record or if I'm about to put one out. Writing is just a way that I just live and I write about the way that
sounds
I'm living.
both liberating and tiring.
Love life right now. Happy song, sad song.
I don't really talk about my love life. I kind of sing about it a lot because I really think that it sounds more poetic and romantic with music behind it.
And it's more true to you in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like, you know, my fans know that I'm going to give them the real version of what happened to me in my music. And they know that, you know, what they read on blogs or gossip sites or whatever may or may not be true. And they can kind of tell, like, if it's true or not because they know me.
Do you ever hear from these people who maybe recognize themselves in a song and are like, hi, guess what? I really didn't appreciate that.
Well, they don't say it that gracefully or that with that kind of...
Wait. Taylor, I'm going to be honest with you. If I woke up one day and I dated you and I was in a record, one, I lost, like, I already know I messed up, right? Because they know who they're dating. Assuming that all these are after you became this successful, right? I'm guessing these are chronicling relationships after you became a superstar. It's bad enough they lost out, right? Lost out on the relationship and then they hear themselves in a record. Yeah, I'd be mad. But, like, it was probably warranted. I probably did something to deserve that. If we ended amicably, I would expect to hear the fact that it ended amicably, not that I was a piece of shit. But it was probably my fault if I got put in a record that way.
An eloquent tone. If they're not liking what's written about them or what they think is written about them or what they assume and presume is about them, I probably hit the nail right on the head. It's probably really true.
She's taken a bit of a rousing for her aw shucks enthusiasm. It was spoofed by Blake Shelton at this year's Academy of Country Music Awards.
You know, I actually saw where Taylor is going to be coming out with her own perfume. It's actually called... I can't believe I smell this good.
If I was on her management team, I'd be like, okay, all right. See, Taylor, you're too humble, okay? They're parodying you because you're sweet and you're kind and you're respectful. You got to go up there and you got to talk your shit, all right? So here's what we're going to do next time you accept your Grammy Award or any type of award. You got to go up there and say, I knew it all along and I've been busting y'all ass all along. I'd like to thank my mother. I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank the people. And I'm out of here. Spoof that. Spoof that. Make fun of that. I'm just playing.
Now Taylor Swift is here. And even by Kristen Wiig.
No, wouldn't y'all like to hear Taylor talk her shit a little bit more? Maybe that's just me.
So that look that you give, that I won look.
People make so much fun of me for that. And I don't know, like, it's like if you win an award, isn't that crazy? Like, isn't that crazy? How do you sit there and be like, oh, another Grammy. I guess I'm going to go get that now.
Shake it off. Shake it off. Players.
Yeah, but Taylor, you've been busting their ass for a long time. I'm just saying. You got to go up there and just say, hey, I'm running out of room for these. I'm going to have to start giving these away. I don't think they would appreciate that, though. Never mind. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Haters got to play. Haters got to hate. So the question is, what is Taylor Swift shaking off? What is that? It means different things to different people.
I just told you, Gail, I just told you. I'm shaking off the haters. That's what she... See, I couldn't be on her team. I'm too petty.
My favorite thing about this song, I wanted to make a song that would help people get through their day. All these girls that I talk to online on Instagram or Tumblr or Twitter, the things that they're going through are parallel to what I go through, just on a different scale. When someone spreads a rumor that isn't true about a girl I'm talking to on Instagram, It's the same feeling of humiliation that I get when I'm checking out of the grocery store and I see something untrue written about me on a magazine.
I'm curious about that feeling. How do you handle it? Because you're in the tabloids a lot.
I think I probably handle it the same way that you handle it, which is you just laugh at it.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
I do now, but I didn't in the beginning.
That's exactly how it was for me. You start off and you're very personally offended by it and you're wounded by it. And you think it's personal when really, it's honestly a money
All
thing.
business. It's all business. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. If this is messed up, this is my second re-recording of this. If this is messed up, I'll be on the next Taylor Swift video shaving my head on camera. I promise you. If this doesn't go up, you'll see on my community tab that I'm shaving my head on camera. Patreon.com/StiloVino for Miss Americana. And bunch of Taylor Swift content. Bunch. More to come. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tolerating me and my goofiness. But I hope I made some points that connected with you as well. Y'all have a good night. I'm out of here.